welcome, and we're going to talk about book organization in this particular lesson, all right? Now, depending on when you're watching this, you've probably already have done something, right, with your page ladder. You're starting to figure out what's going to go where in the book and so on. That's kind of normal. Now, if you haven't already, that's okay. This lesson might be of a big help to you. If you've started doing some stuff, maybe some review here, or you might see something you're kind of interested in. So we'll follow on that. Now, first off, hopefully you took the time to watch the Jostens J-class on Yearbook Avenue called Ladder 101. In other words, sort of the basics. This one's done by my friend Ava Butsu, one of the top yearbook advisors in the country from Michigan. And Ava does a great job in this video, if you didn't watch it, of really mapping out sort of the two types of page ladders that we have today. And one has really been increasing in popularity in recent years. All right, which one do you have? Now, one's we usually just call traditional. And with this one, you sort of have the regular sections in a book that a lot of schools, the majority of schools, still do with their yearbook. There's a sports section, there's a senior section for high schools, there's a student life section, there's a club section, there's an advertising section, and so on, all right? Sort of the traditional breakdown that there has always been, okay? Let's put a graphic up here. This is kind of interesting now. Ava shares this in her video, sort of the breakdown, the average breakdown in a traditional book of how much percentage of the book goes to a particular section. Do you do this? All right, if you do a traditional layout book, you might want to consider this. Some interesting numbers there. Then Ava talks about what's called chronological organization. Now, this has really been increasing in popularity in recent years. A lot of the top yearbooks in the country, we're talking the big award winners and so on, they like to follow a chronological plan. And the idea here is you kind of map out the book as the year goes. So you kind of, at the beginning of the book, maybe you start at the beginning of the year, and as you turn your pages and so on, it marches through. You might start with summer, then maybe you've got a fall section, winter, spring, and the book kind of marches through the way you would march through a year. In other words, it's chronological. And it's logical, if you will. You know, when we read a book, we don't necessarily like to, jump around and so on. If we can follow the way the year went, that seems to be a more logical way to put together a book. Now, if you'd be interested in doing this, there's a number of ways to do chronological, which Ava mentions. The most popular probably is maybe by season. All right, yes, things do happen in the summertime, so there's a summer section. Fall, what happens, all the different things that happen in the fall go in that section. Winter, spring. Now, there are some folks, they do it by month. So in other words, all the things that happen in September go in the September section, October, November, December, and so on. I've even seen a few do it by week. Now, if you're going to do it by week, yeah, this is a little more work, but you might have either a 2 or a 4-page spread about what happened during the week of September 1 to 8. Well, you got sports stuff in there, you probably have some student life stuff in there, maybe some club activity stuff in there, and so on. Then you move to the next week, and then the next one, and the next one. If I do some basic math, all right, a basic year usually for a school is like 36 weeks. So 36 spreads, or depending on the size of your book, maybe 2 spreads for each particular week. It's totally up to you what you want to choose. But the idea is we kind of map out our book as the year goes. And then you have a people section, the seniors, the underclassmen, and so on. Seems like it makes some pretty good popular sense. And it's more about covering people than it is about covering events. People are always going to have stories. And boy, what have we learned in the last 2.5 years? Remember when we were all thrown home in the spring of 2020? That messed up a lot of yearbooks, right? A lot of events suddenly, poof, disappeared. And a lot of folks were like, well, what do we cover now? Well, if we cover people and their stories, you will never be caught short. And that was a lesson I would say a lot of folks learned the hard way in the spring of 20, maybe also during the 21 school year, depending on your particular school, maybe even last year. Things that just didn't happen because of who knows what. And now all of a sudden we have holes in our ladder. What do we do? Well, if we cover people and their stories, there are never going to be holes that we have to worry about. Now, let's talk about this very quickly. Maybe you've noticed this already using Yearbook Avenue. We actually have 2 different page ladders on there now. Let's take a quick peek here. First off, there's what we call our classic page ladder. Now, we've had this for years. There's nothing wrong with it. All right, it's got the basics. There they are. You know, what's on your pages and who's assigned and so on. The one, if you will, bad thing about the classic ladder is it doesn't play nice on mobile devices, phones and tablets like iPads and so on. So now, thanks to our terrific Jostens Tech crew, we have a new, it's right now being called a beta page ladder. Beta is fancy talk for like version 1.0. And we'll take a look at that right here, all right? It looks very different. Don't get scared. It's got a lot of great functionality, and it looks great on mobile devices, especially iPads and tablets, but also even on smartphones. Very easy to use. You've got the tabs down the left-hand side. Figure out the sections of your book. Figure out the topics of your book, you know, the stories you're going to cover, and that list can be as long as you want. Who's assigned on what page, what deadlines for what spread, all the basics. Now, if you would be interested in using the beta ladder, just contact your Jostens representative and let them know. Here's one thing. A year from now, for the 2024 school year, everyone is going to have what's now called the beta ladder. Next year, it's going to be the regular ladder. We're going to be retiring the classic ladder after this year. So you have a choice. Do you want to start using that new ladder now, or maybe wait till next year? Either way works, but if you'd like to get an early jump on things, you might want to start using it now. So if you're interested and haven't done it already, contact your Jostens representative and let them know, hey, we're interested in that new page ladder on Yearbook Avenue, all right? Now, let's do a quick student activity. Again, maybe you've worked your ladder already. All right, let's do a review. Think about traditional versus chronological. Are you satisfied with what you have right now? Maybe you'd like to make some change. And if you just haven't gotten that far yet, definitely debate this now. The traditional idea, the chronological idea. Which one do you think maybe you'd like to try for this year? We're only going to go about 2 minutes on this. All right, so let's see what your group can come up with, either a review or some brand new stuff. All right, ready, set, go. Okay, guys, let me jump back in and be real brief, about 1 minute. All right, so you can go back to your discussion here in a moment. Here's one thing, advisors. Hopefully you're doing this already. Some folks think it's old school. Yes, it is, and it's still terrific. The paper page ladder in your Jostens Editor Kit box of stuff. If you haven't put that up already, please go find it, put it up on your wall, fill it out when you have your plan, and use it all year long. In other words, when stuff gets submitted, you kind of put a big X or something, or you cover it up and so on. That giant paper page ladder is old school, but it is a great graphical representation of the progress of your effort at any particular point during the school year. And as you guys start filling that thing up and kind of putting those big X's, if you will, through it, it's a great feeling to see we're getting close, we're getting close. If somehow you don't have your paper ladder, contact your Jostens representative, say, hey, I need one of those. They'll get one to you as quickly as possible. But let's work the ladder, all right? Thanks for watching.